Okay, let's see the Keroppi video about the reworking the system, chat. Because I'm wondering, chat, that we made a video about reworking some of the stuff. Am I creating a new meta for PSO? Probably not. Probably not at all, chat. But like always, go to your heels and let's see, chat. What's going on with Keroppi?
Today is a discussion video regarding the reward
I love
system
discussion
in
videos, chat.
NGS. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe, as it really helps out the
Make
channel.
sure you do it, chat.
Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the
Okay,
video.
YouTube decided to freak out, chat.
So the very first thing I want to go over is today is premium user PSO2 day, so please make sure to actually pick up your free star gems as well as your special scratch tickets.
I didn't even
But
like what
more
day it was.
importantly, also go break all of your randomite. Remember, today is the only day where you get that extra 50% rare drop rate since it's premium user PSO2 day, but it only applies to premium users, okay? If you're free to play, you do not get this extra 50% RTR, but nevertheless, if you haven't broken your randomite yet, you should definitely do that, because remember, they will respawn right after maintenance, so please make sure to do that first. Alright, with that announcement out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, today's subject, and that is the reward system. So something that has been brought to my attention, and I kind of just realized it a couple days ago, was actually Malevolent Darkfall's Aegis actually drops less Aegis souls than the Urgent Quest version and the Trigger version of Darkfall's Aegis.
What? Really?
Which kind of blows my mind.
How?
Because the Urgent Quest version, sure, you know, you could argue that that is, you know, it's rare, it comes up occasionally, and it's kind of to incentivize people to run it by giving you a massive amount of rewards of these Aegis souls. However, the Trigger version you can run whenever you want, and it also rewards you with 3 Aegis souls per run. The thing that blows my mind is Malevolent Darkfall's Aegis, which is the super high difficulty one, only rewards you 1 Aegis soul per run, versus the Trigger version and the Urgent Quest version, which gives you 3 per run. And, you know, the Urgent Quest version as well as the Trigger version is a lot easier, a lot more forgiving, and a lot faster. So I really think Sega kind of missed the mark here on like, hey, the reward system in a game should reward players for doing higher difficulty content. The harder the content it is, the more rewards you should get. That's kind of the logic in like every other video game. So I really think Sega needs to go back to the drawing board and re-look into this, because regardless of how much rare drop rate boost that they throw at the game, if the fundamentals are flawed, it doesn't matter. Another example we can look at is, of course, the Flugogard weapon series. You know, sure, the rare drop rate for that was awfully low at the very beginning when it was initially released, and then
I feel like there's another thing about the PSO right now, or have been forever, is I think this is like an example of just like how much attention it actually given to the drop stuff. Because that's something else I've been noticing. I'm happy Keroppi pointing that out, because I did not know that was a thing for specifically this fight. But, you know how we have always complained about the whole doing like level 70, 80, whatever cap might be at the time, and still getting like low, like level 15, 20 equipment and stuff. And I feel like this is like an example of just like, obviously when it comes to like the loot table for a lot of the content, I don't feel like Sega gives it that much of a mind. You know, they feel like one of them cases of like, whenever you make stuff and then you put like a percentage on it, but you don't look how that will interact with like the percentages of everything else. You know, you do it like, oh, it's supposed to be well, so put it like a 0.0001% chance. And then have everything else be like, you know, a 0.01% chance or something. And that would it feel like. It just like, it very much feeling like the whole thing is just putting it out there to let people do, and then be like, oh no, the items are not the reward. Doing the harder version is the reason you want to do it. You want it for the challenge, because this is probably the other thing, how the community for the longest time have went on about how we want harder content. We want, you know, more like rewarding content from a gameplay perspective. And I feel like this is one of them things where Sega just went like, oh, you want the hard version? We don't gotta worry about loot. You guys don't care about loot. You guys don't even care about it being harder. And that was the feeling to be like a representation of that mindset. When Joe is around, it's a danger. Oh, I know, Seal. I know. But yeah, I had no idea that it was a thing for that fight.
And then so they buffed it. They gave us a 100% RDR boost initially, and people still complained it still wasn't enough. So they put it to 200% now. And even right now at 200%, I still don't think it's good enough per se. Like, sure, some people are getting it, and it is
it almost like doing a whole like 0.00.00.00.1%. It like probably not a good skill to have on your equipment, on your weapons, and your drop. Like my God, man, it like what happened, chat? What happened to the good old days of, oh yeah, I forgot. No, I know what happened. Monetization happens and free-to-play happened. But, nonetheless, like, man, don't you guys remember back in the day when,
you don't want to be like
when,
this.
like, you don't,
This is
chat.
disgusting.
I know you're doing for Total Soulboy, but you don't want to.
We just need to send Troy and Joe to the Sega studios so they can have oversight and critique all of Sega decisions.
Yeah, because it's like, let's be honest. It's like, if you're going to make something, as we have seen, near impossible or thousands of try to get your hands on it, and also, like, you know, think Keroppi bringing it up would make sense, because, you know, Keroppi pretty much, you know, this hit game every day pretty much at that point, and have been for a long time. So I imagine Keroppi probably can get any more into the detail than I can, because, you know, I burned myself out a long time ago on this. But yeah, like...
Good God!
Hey.
It's hideous. But beautiful in an ugly way. But mostly hideous.
I'm beautiful.
Whoa. No, we're not doing that. No. I don't know why you're into this.
I don't know why you
But we're stopping it.
But... Yeah, play for what? I still haven't seen a Fukuga and play every day. Yeah, like example of that, Steam. But like, you're not the only one here, and Keroppi also saying it bad. And I know Keroppi pretty much play every day, probably way longer. So just like another example of just how bad this is from like my effective, your effective, Keroppi effective, anyone else out there that play PSO any amount. It just like, obviously this is a huge problem. And honestly, I kind of feel like at that way, like, maybe you should drop this whole 0.0000001% whole thing. Like, I kind of miss, like, I know not all MMO did it back in the day, because I know a lot of MMO still did the whole percentage RNG double certain thing. But it, like, I feel like, honestly, if you have to do a set amount of content, you know, hundreds of times, and the majority of your player base is still not seeing it, that should be a, you know, should be like a red flag going off or alarm going off that, like, hey, maybe you need to do something about that, you know? It really does. It just, how is it still so bad?
How much is a penny? 1 cent.
Yesterday on PSO2 Day, I did a Dark Fowls run with close to 400% rare drop rate. Nothing, just like every other run.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's the reason I still say, like, buying, like, drop weight up is a scam. It's just a straight up scam, you know, buying that type of stuff. Because it's like, yeah, a few times we have had that stuff on, you know, from, like, anniversary stuff or, like, apology stuff early on. Like, any bait PSO, like, doing it, like, yeah, it just still doesn't really affect nothing. Because it's like, whenever you're adding 400% to something, but your drop weight is still, like, in the multi-thousand% of 1%, like, a 400% not going to do much of anything, really. Yeah, I'm happy you didn't buy it either, because that's, like, the main thing, like, as a whole, towards, like, anybody who play PSO, like, out of all the things you can spend money on, that is, like, the one thing I legit think it's just a con from Sega. Like, absolutely. Yeah, I would never recommend it either, because it's just, like, you want to know the perfect example of setting your money on fire. I feel like that is it. Except for, like, the barely 1% of the population that somehow get up, and then it, you know, I'm pretty sure they will probably get that item with or without the 400+%. Like, I don't know. This, like that. I think this is showed like the example here of like Sega where like, because I know with the whole like 6 month to a year cycle, but we already like 3-4 years in, not counting bait PSO, you know, like JP and whatnot, and it literally does feel like this is once again just punishing a lot of the player base. Might it be on pulpit? Might it be incompetent? Maybe it oversight. Maybe it's just the whole thing of, you know, the more like monetization stuff. Is like, you know, the quest of it, hoping for the people that do buy the multiple 100% drop rate to keep them buying that stuff to just try to get this stuff. It's just like I just don't know how, you know, like a dev could look at it and be like, yeah, this is a good idea beyond the whole monetization reason of selling the boots. If they make a shit ton of money off, you know, selling boots, then they're like, okay, that makes sense. But at the same time, like, any with you making money off your player bait, but in return also not rewarding the player bait that is spending the money, let alone the free players, like, it's like one of them cases I feel like only a matter of time before, you know, what is obviously starting to happen now, outside of me and outside of like UCM and a couple other people, like with like Keroppi pointing it out, of just like, yeah, you know, it getting to, I feel like a breaking point for so many, if not already, and you know, that's the last thing you want to do to your player bait is like get, especially the people who are actually spending the money on the boots, to break them. Like, nah, you need to walk that line of like rewarding to pay and free, as well as, you know, putting challenge in there. But it seemed like Sega just going the opposite way of just being like, you know, shoving that all to the side and just going to the super extreme way of this. Like, to the point that, you know, some of this stuff is like, any of this stuff any able to get, you know, is it like real on G, or is it at that point just set up to be like, oh, we got like X number per like silver that goes out. You know, kind of like the main reason why whenever one of the legendary weapons is, you know, best in slot or in heavy use, you know, we might see like 10 or 15 of them total on a silver, and in the second the net legendary weapon comes around, you know, whatever might be after Fukugawa, then we would just see the market flooded with them, or like content just gonna start dropping them like candy. Like that would happen with what was that? I think it was the first or second legendary weapon was like went from like nothing, and then all of a sudden you do Lucille and you do tripping over them. So like I wouldn't doubt that being a thing either, of just being like only X amount per silver to a certain time. Cause like, yeah, this is ridiculous in so many ways. And then, like I said, I ain't counting the dot ball scenario where, like, obviously you're not even paying attention to the loot you any had in the same version, you know, the Origin Quest version, Trickle version, appeal to the new version. It's just like, you know, if it one of them things, once again, maybe too many cooks in the kitchen here and just stuff it being overlooked, but like, how do you make the drop worse for the harder version? Is also another thing to play into all of this. It's like, I don't know, man. It's so much stuff that it tied to like drop weight and PSO that like I don't understand, like, at all, beyond, I said, maybe at most money and dragging out content, because this is content to Sega is doing the thousands upon thousands of times. Like, man,
dropping a lot more often. But I don't think the solution is to just buff rare drop rate. I think the solution is they do need to go back to the drawing board and see what works and what doesn't work and what the community actually wants, and kind of work around that. I know the community is pretty divided. You know, some people like extra rare drop rate, some people like the Sanguine weapons with a guaranteed weapon you get and then you slowly upgrade it. And I really think that Sega could take the best of both worlds and kind of mash them together and see what works like that. I just kind of
I still vote for the Zig way personally. You farm a whole bunch of weapons, different weapon type, you trade them in, you get a bait unit. Then with that bait unit, you upgrade it, and then you trade it in for the net version, and just do that. Literally Zig. That's still the thing that bothered me about this. Like, we have a process that worked great. It's Zig. It just was Zig in PSO2. And, you know, we almost had it. We almost had it with Kaiser, and then Sega got cold feet very quickly. But that is still my version. Like, I wouldn't even do, like, drop weight boosting or anything. The only thing I would do would, like, lock the... whatever items you get at whatever level only go 5 up or 5 down. And then also make the weapons and armor actually useful and not just garbage items. And if you are going to make them a garbage item, use them as trade-in fodder to unlock, you know, your net weapon does steal. I said, do Zig. Like, come on. It's not that hard.
think that at the end of the day, the reward system itself is a little bit flawed, and that they kind of need to look at that as the core issue first. And after they realize what the problem is, or after they solve that issue, then you can increase the rare drop rate and increase all the other boosters and get all these different campaigns to entice people to farm and blah blah blah. Because at the moment, if the core issue isn't solved, even if you add all of these band-aid solutions, it's not gonna solve the core issue at the end of the day. Like,
it also doesn't happen that the band-aid issue is, hey, you want this item? We just can put in a campaign now. You can just get it through, you know, whatever, like, super easy means. Or, like I said, to make it super easy and short and loose deal. And then you get, like, 5 of them at the end. Like,
after all of these campaigns go away, after this rare drop rate boosters go away, all of that stuff, the issue still remains. You know, X item is still super rare. To farm for endgame capsules is still an absolute slog. And so there's just so many issues that I really
game in
hope that
general in a
Sega
lot
looks
of ways is a
into. I
flaw.
don't expect them to fix any existing issues, like, you know, Malevolent Darkfall's Aegis only dropping 1 Aegis Soul.
They're
It
not gonna
seems
touch the
like
content
a
again.
Pretty simple fix, you know, just increase it to 5 per.
I promise you, chat, what is happening with that quest, or that that quest? The loot table probably not even gonna be dropped. They're just gonna move on to the next thing, you know, whatever the next standing quest is.
Run, and that's it, and they could call it a day. But I don't think Sega's going to do that, because Sega tends to not really fix, like, old problems that often.
Yeah.
Or when they do fix it, it's kind of like outdated content already. So I just hope that they fix new content. When the new stuff comes out, that they learn from these mistakes and then they don't do it
Will
again.
they learn, though?
So as we all know, next month we are getting new armors and new weapons. You know, is the rare drop rate for those weapons going to be abysmal? How are we going to be able to
absolutely
obtain it?
will
Is
be.
it going to be like the Sanguine weapons, where you can get the base weapon incredibly easily, but in order to limit break it and get it all the way to its ultimate form, it's going to be a progression, like a slog or whatever? Like, they need to kind of look into this, go back to the drawing board, rework the whole drop rate and reward system, and kind of give us a new model. I think that is probably the best thing to look at. I do understand that they are trying to keep their roots with, you know, just Phantasy Star in general, where they are super rare items with super powerful augments and affixes and passives.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff
there's a
like
way
that.
to do
And
that.
I do think that they should
That
probably
will
still
play into
do
it,
that.
and still be useful.
But it should be like, okay, everyone's gonna get this base weapon for free or relatively easily. So everyone has a baseline, right? And once you hit that baseline, for example, the Vershmel weapons, right, with this current seasonal event, everyone has a Vershmel weapon with the Fixa 2 Termina. That is the baseline. So no matter how casual you
Or
are,
5,
you're going to
chat.
get this weapon. And then if you want to aim higher, you can aim for a Fixa 5, so forth and so on. But I don't think that is enough.
Come on,
I
Chad,
feel
not
like,
that
sure,
hard.
aiming for fixes, higher fixes, stuff like that is nice, and there is sort of a progression system of just smashing weapons together, but I don't find that very
watch my new
engaging
YouTube
and
video
very
if you don't know what
fun,
weapons
in my
mean,
personal
chat.
opinion. I kind of wish that we had a different system where it's like, oh, when you level up this weapon, it changes the look cosmetically, or it changes how the weapon potential works, or gives you new passives and stuff like that. So let's say, for example, you get a Flugel weapon to drop. You're like, oh my gosh, I finally got a Flugel weapon.
Time to sell it.
Maybe there are other ways to upgrade your Flugel weapon other than just enhancements, augments, as well as weapon potentials. Maybe Sega can add in other ways to augment your weapon to personalize your specific Flugel weapon so that it fits your personal playstyle and makes it unique. I would really
Also, for anyone who's not aware, I posted my video of what we're talking about there, with the whole terminal effects, wasn't it? And how I got in less than 10 minutes with, like, what was it, 47? I think it was 47 tries. Go watch the video of the whole thing. As you can see, just talking about it, have gives DM PTSD. So check out new video, chat.
Really like to see that, being able to change the cosmetic look of my Flugel weapon, change its aura, change its damage, change its weapon potential, and just let me customize a little bit of that weapon and let me go to the extremes of that. So for example, I really like the Verschmel weapons with its 100% crit rate. You know, maybe later down the line, I'll be able to transfer that weapon potential onto my Flugel weapon because I like the stats of the Flugel weapon, but I want that 100% crit rate. And maybe add in a very difficult way or a very grindy way in order to remove the debuffs of that weapon potential of the Verschmel weapons, you know, the negative 14% potency. Maybe Sega can add in a way where
we technically always had that. Cause wasn't that technically? Because I remember the main thing in Bait PS though, like the stuff that ended up happening near the end was like how some weapon had like life steal on it and a couple other things like that. And there was like a whole thing about how you could like remove them ability from weapon to put them on other weapons. So we had that in Bait PS though. So like, come on Sega, bring it back. Because I get we technically we have the whole movie of fix-ups, but isn't the whole movie of fix-up they had to be like the same weapon series, right? And the thing was in Bait PSO, if I remember correctly, I don't think it was tied to a weapon series. Like, you could literally take the ability from like a sword and put it on a gun and have it on totally different weapon series, if I remember correctly.
You can remove negative parts of weapon potentials and you can mix and match different weapon potentials, and that way you can make like the ultimate weapon.
Yeah.
And obviously
and
you
also
don't make
keep
it super easy, but at least have a clear progression path where people can be like, yo, I want to play the game today because I know what I need to do. There's stuff that I need to farm for, there's stuff that I want to do.
Once again, that making weapon stay relevant a path
build.
Yeah.
That's just something that I really wish we had in NGS right now. It's like, okay, you know, maybe I can make a very specific build that fits my playstyle. It might not be the most meta-defining thing,
but the thing
but
we
if
barely
I
have
invest enough
though.
time, if I invest enough resources into it, I can refine it and make that build work in like endgame content and still be quote-unquote competitive, you know?
Whoa. Alan Wake looking different.
It is. It is. We're looking at Keroppi new video about well drop and how Keroppi obviously is coming to the conclusion of drops are pointless. But how you doing, Ti? I'm happy you're here. We were just talking about the whole fix the 5 issue. New video up about that. Go watch it. You was here for it, though. You'd be fine. But go watch it anyway, chat. But how you doing, Ti?
Rare drop. Those don't exist, my friend.
I know they don't. I know. I think Keroppi is starting to realize that as well here. But yeah. Keroppi is pretty much doing a talking point about well drop going off of them actually giving you Warsaw rewards in the new or the standing quest of Dark Bar paired to the original version of the Origin Quest and Trigger. So we're seeing Keroppi. We're seeing how Keroppi is feeling right now about that. But you're not warm. Well drop don't exist. Like at all.
Hello, this is Nintendo. Open up.
I'm doing nothing. By the way, oh god, hi. I'm not doing anything. We're not playing Power War right now. It's fine. It's fine. Also, chat, I don't know if you saw it. Allegedly, Nintendo lawsuit came down on the Pokemon
I'm expecting
model.
it to be harder and to give you the same drops.
Yeah, literally, Keroppi is saying it actually give you warp drop to do the harder version. But yeah, that would get Keroppi going off on that video about it. But yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it. Allegedly, Nintendo literally stand like lawyers after the dude who modded in Pokemon into Power War. So I think somebody getting ready to go to prison, chat. Or just never have money ever again in their whole life.
I kind of wish we had some sort of system like that. A great example that I could use would be something like the Paragon system in some games where it's like, after you get to
some
max
sort
level,
of genius.
you can still over level and you get extra points where you can put into like specific stats. So it kind of gives you a quote unquote end game where you're constantly farming for stuff because you know that the time
that is your job point. Literally what Keroppi is talking about here. Keroppi is literally describing job points in Final Fantasy 11. Which is what Final Fantasy 11 did after you hit level 99. I think it was in sequels. So it would have been like 2009 or something. That they literally added that, well, you can get job point and each point is like a point in each of your stats. From your character or for your character. Also, there we go. I gotta see him. We'll watch it in a second. Was it the middle of the video of Power World Trouble? Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'll give that a look once this is done. But yeah, Keroppi is literally just playing Final Fantasy 11 in-game. That's what Keroppi is playing right now. Wait, near identical? I imagine some of that stuff it probably... Then again, I think the Wild Flame stuff, if you built stuff in 3D, like, yeah, obviously a lot of that stuff is going to be very similar, just in general. So I don't think that's a big problem at all.
that you're investing into the game is not being wasted as you are getting stronger in one way or another. So that is something that I would really like to see introduced into NGS, where it's like, sure, you've gotten max level, you've gotten all of your weapons and your armors, and you've got all of your augments. What's the next step? Why should you keep playing? Because right now, once you hit endgame, there's really nothing to do other than just quote-unquote farming for the future. You're just farming for more
Yeah, you farm for the future, you're doing farming for seasonal events. Or if you somehow don't have any sanity left, you are farming for the market. Which, you know, will literally do more.
We love Keroppi Hype Love 1.
We do, chat. We do. Like, Keroppi don't hit the nail on the head of stuff I have complained about as well. Which is good to see. But yeah, like, the whole thing about farming for the market, though, in, like, a lot of ways, is what? You probably better off farming fashion, also known as credit card, or find cheap fashion, buy it, and hope you can flip it in, like, a month.
Besides that time he said fixes were guaranteed during that event.
It was guaranteed. I got mine in 47 try. It was guaranteed. I don't know what you guys on about.
Apart from that time he tricked me and TI into thinking Termina 5 on verse Kamasum thing would be easy Poro sad.
It was easy. It was super easy. It took 10 minutes. I'm sorry, chat. The only thing I got in life over you guys is how easy that was for me. After I made a joke about blowing up in there and getting it for trying, and I technically did. But 178 weapon, yeah. 47 on my end.
Damn it, Troy.
Don't worry, chat. Don't you worry. That weapon gonna be pointless in like a week or two. It'd be fine.
You're farming for more future augments, you're farming for just all the endgame augments, so that when the new armors drop and the new weapons drop, you can immediately min-max it.
Well,
and
they
then you're
already
just
have better augment coming in with it.
Farming the same thing for the sake of becoming richer. That's kind of the only real endgame that you have right now in NGS, which is a little bit unfortunate because, you know, I kind of want life skilling from like Black Desert. You know, I kind of want farming.
What is going on with Black Desert, chat? Real quick, it's a little tangent here. Keroppi brought it up, so I gotta ask. What is going on with Black Desert right now? Like, I've been seeing like so many PSO players because I think what was it, Quonos, Nightshade, Keroppi, and now mentioning it. I saw a couple like one-off like PSO content creator like playing Black Desert right now. What is happening with that? Do I need to play Black Desert, chat? What is going on? Well, you spent $1,000 Jim, so you could get the booster for the final attempt. Yeah, and I just used the booster I've been setting on forever, which was a 15% booster. I will take my content creator privilege whenever I can get it. It doesn't happen often, chat, but I will take it when it happens. But yeah, what is going on with it? Maybe we should play it, chat.
Fishing, I want other things to do. But the thing is, just by adding in fishing isn't going to solve anything. Just adding gathering isn't going to fix anything either. You kind of...
Yeah, because that, once again, is just fixing it for a very specific player base. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm in that camp. I love my gathering. You have seen me gather, like, material forever in PSO and fish forever in PSO without actually having anything to use them for beyond a Maconn daily that drive you guys insane. But yeah, that's still not going to fix a lot. Like, that is like fashion. That can be a very specific part of the community.
Need a system behind that incentivize people to actually do these activities. For example, like a cooking system where you can cook buffs for players. That's something that I would really like to see. So
literally, Keroppi just describing old MMO chat. Which I still say my version of this is you put AC items in the lower tier stuff for people to get their hands on. Would motivate them a bit. Like, don't get me wrong, might not motivate, you know, for long, per se, but it still would add something to it, especially for like the new player affiliates coming in wanting to get their hands on certain items or cosmetics. Like yeah, you need some motivation to actually get like higher or in-game player to do lower tier content. And it's one of them things that I feel like every MMO fight with in one way or another. Like, we see the example of some MMOs that just don't do nothing. We see some that might have, like, you know, tied to, like, what would be, like, a seasonal event. You might also see, like, the way, like, Wayfinder do it would be like, hey, if you do that, you get a currency and then you can buy an item to get higher tier characters unlocked or classes unlocked. But yeah, this is something that is a fight in every MMO. The only thing is, like, with that being the case, which is another reason why I think PSO is just gonna keep moving and let old content die. Because that's what happened in global and base game. So I don't see that really changing at all in, you know, NGS though.
So for example, I go fishing, I go gathering, I go hunting. I do all of these different quote-unquote life skill things because it allows me to get all of these resources and I can cook it and I can create buffs that the game normally does not offer, and I can sell this to players in order to generate Meseta, or I can use it for myself or give it to my friends and stuff like that. So it's creating a secondary economy in the current game. Because in the current game, if you want to make money, it's pretty simple. It's like, okay, if you're free to play, you just go to a PSE combat zone, you farm raw Meseta. If you have premium or you have access to the shop, then it's farming all of the high value items that people actually want. And it just so happens, who has all the Meseta? The whales have all the Meseta. So basically, you just got to see what they want. If they want high end.
Yeah, and literally what I have talked about was literally the top 1% is just trading money with the top 1%. And that's the reason why one of the reasons, let's be honest, the other reason, because everybody dumped everything on the market at the end of PSO2. But one of the reasons is literally, like, when the 1% is just trading among themselves, you're going to start getting billion-dollar items like we have in base game, and, you know, we are getting very close to that in NGS.
Endgame capsules, that's what you farm. If they want fashion pieces, that's what you invest in, so forth and so on. And it's very linear. It's kind of very boring, personally, in my opinion. I kind of wish we had a little bit more, you know, different avenues in order to make money, different avenues to stimulate the economy and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to the reward system, right? You know, they could add fishing, they could add all of these cool things, but if all of the rewards is still equally as bad as like the Flugelgard series or like the Rugged series back in the day, nobody's gonna do it because it's like, oh yeah, you can craft this buff that gives you 50% more damage, but the drop rate for this fish that you need is 0.0001%. Like, sure, maybe the first week people might go crazy and go fish for it, but after that, you know, people are just gonna give up because the
Literally what I've been saying for the last 3 years.
drop rate is awfully low, and there's just no sense of progression, and the reward system just sucks. And so I really do hope that Sega does go back to the drawing board and look into this and solve the core issue before looking into anything else.
The thing was about that, though, I feel like, honestly, at this point, because this whole thing was, like, my original idea was, you know, once we got, you know, through, like, Lucille, you know, we got all the Legion, we did, at that time, did not know Lucille, but, you know, the thing in the guy ended up being Lucille, was, I was warning, like, at that point, like, okay, you got all your Legion, you got all your stuff, congratulations, you are pretty much at 1.0, ideally, which obviously is, I think Sega also agree with that ideal, because we did get credits after Lucille, which kind of implied this is a finished game 1.0, or like the baseline of a finished game anyway. At finish, and you're going to be in, you know, 2024 game dev, especially at live services. But I was hoping that, like, during, like, the yield, so what would have been last year, like, let the next year be flushing everything out mechanically, market-wise, gameplay-wise.
I'm cleaning out my fridge, so I'm half listening, but all I hear is Troima rant, Troima rant, Troima rant.
That's what it is. That's what it is, T.I. That's literally what is happening. Also, don't eat any of the food that would be quoted out, as I learned yesterday. But, nonetheless, it's like, I was hoping, like, the yield would be adding all this stuff, but I feel like, as we have seen from, like, the roadmap for the next 6 months, the roadmap for the last 6 months, is, I feel like Sega have no interest in any of that. So, I foresee, honestly, NGS where it stands right now, and in some way you could debate and say if it's standing in the same spot, since the release originally, any going back to straight up level 20 Alio. But I honestly do not see anything really changing at all. Like, at this point, and how many times we've been through that with Sega over the last, like, 3 years, plus, you know, Base. But Base was a different can of worms just because of how global we're done. But Elite 4 NGS is like, I do not see Sega actually changing anything at all. I foresee that to be in all the complaint we have now, we're going to have in like 3 years. Back when the game originally came out, like, oh yeah, you give them like probably like 5 years and then the game will probably be something great. I don't even think that's going to happen anymore, to be real with you guys. It's like, because all the stuff that, you know, come in, like the economy, the drop rate, the progression system, the cosmetics, like all that stuff, like me and everyone else have been like talking about for years, and then nothing ever comes of it, and in the few bones we get, it either like very much throwaway content or like backhanded comment through an interview or like a headline.
Hello,
screen.
this is the police. Step away from the fridge with your hands up.
Do it. Listen. Oh God, I'm not doing it. Do it, T.I. You hold a man. But yeah, like I don't see anything changing at that point. Like maybe we might get a Zig. We could still hope, but I don't know. Yeah, fishing in Final Fantasy 14, one of my favorite things ever. That's how I am at will. Like I love fishing. Like don't get me wrong, I'm more of a minor myself in Final Fantasy 14. But yeah, fishing is still great. Like fishing is always one of them good things. Like I would say fishing and crafting, I feel like, especially in like Final Fantasy 14 and even Final Fantasy 11.
Put the brownies where we can see them.
Do it, because I want some brownies. I'm still taking one of the brownie. You can't stop me, see. I'm gonna take that brownie. But but like all the crafting stuff have like mainly just that is technically the idling. Cause let's be honest, it's not much difference between idling and crafting in a lot of MMOs. But yeah, like having that stuff is still like fun in its own way to have. So it'd be nice, but at the same time, it's like maybe they just one of them things they don't want to spend the money mechanically. Cause we had fishing, we had mining and bait. Any of it was tied to an energy system that you had to use dodgem on. It was once again a part of the microtransaction stuff, which is not great, obviously. For obvious reason, energy in games is not great at all. But at the same time, it's like when the version of that in NGS to just walk over and put B or E or whatever button it is on keyboard, and then like mining and you just slap a stone and you get stuff. It's still like not the most engaging stuff at all, though. Yeah, the fact they seem that we will go for 2 year almost without a new area. Yeah. Like, at that point, I don't see it getting, like, a new zone. Like, a new wheel zone. Like I know they talking about, like, the new area we supposed to be getting, what, like, 4 months or something? The city stuff that a lot of people have drawn parallel back to the beta for PSO2. But is that like a new area? Is that a new area in the way, like Alio or Botane or Cabalis is? Like, I don't even think you're gonna be like a Thea, like at all, because a Thea were very like zone based, like older MMOs. I could see that new area coming in of being nothing more than like roughly a size of like Lucille. That is what I'm expecting because it's like, how in bait PSO, we didn't have it a lot in global. I think we only had it like 2 or 3 times in global, where we had, I believe it was the Origin quest if I remember right, or it might have been a limited time quest. Well, you were in like a city gate, and you would just run around the city killing dot balls spawn, or putting out fire or vacuuming people, but it was like roughly the size of Lucille. That is what I'm expecting from that new area. I don't think it's gonna be no Alio. I don't think we're gonna be hunting down wed boxes. It's like it might be at best like if it's not Lucille, maybe the factory in a Thea. Oh, not Thea. Was it Thea? Yeah, Thea maybe. Like something along that line. Like I thought like a new area. Like nah, I think we elite probably 2 years out on that as well. Yeah, we need shipping, not PSO2 out of ship. I feel like we will get there eventually, but the thing is, what I honestly, if we're going to talk about how realistically PSO might change, because how I just said not going to, but I will put one exception in there, which is, of course, if we actually do get off the planet by, 2027 at the rate we are going, it probably gonna return back to what PSO2 was. Well, you have the ship and just like a little hub, and then you do all your quests from like NPCs or deck counters. I really think we are moving in that direction back to that type of content. Like, so very much. I think Sega want to get, move away from the whole open area stuff. Because of like, did Sega want to do that to begin with? Or was there...
But CM, we can make a ship in our creative spaces. Ha.
Oh
ha,
my
ha,
god.
Ha.
You are not wrong. We can. We can! Okay, and you win that one, TI. You win that one. But yeah, I think most of the open world stuff was mainly designed as a testing ground for Sonic Frontiers. Because we know a lot of the PSO dev kind of moved off of PSO to go to Sonic, and vice versa, since a lot of the stuff kind of shell between the two. And now that Sonic Frontier is done, and Sega moving on, and especially with Sega trying to do the whole Wii invention of themselves, also known as probably NFTs, is like I could see them maybe going back to like PSO2 or any bait PSO, like original PSO. Or just keeping it all hub bait. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the closest we're gonna get to quote unquote spaceships, and
But at the end of the day, this is all just my personal opinion. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think? Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But anyway, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. If you did, I would appreciate it.
yeah, I do gotta say, Lee Keroppi is like hitting the nail on the head in a couple ways. Like I feel like Keroppi is also kind of expanding out into other MMO side, like the draw point stuff. But yeah, the couple things in here like kind of whatever. As far like PSO is concerned, but a couple of this are like, yeah. Like we need something, but the problem is we will probably never see it though. Like, but yeah, it's still great. It's still great to see, like, you know, especially like Keroppi. The one thing about Keroppi, chat, I gotta say, like, it's nice to see over the last like years though. Keroppi kind of starting to like lean into what, you know, I try to do on the channel instead of just bitching and moaning about stuff, and if it kind of sound like it sometimes. Of being like, heal like examples of stuff to do or stuff to add that might fix it. And just, you know, thinking like outside the box for more of it. Instead of just being like a, I get a better way to put it, instead of being like a blind, like Game Boy effective, like gimme, but looking at it more from like a design aspect. And how far PSO have moved away from what is like common design choices that are common for a reason, which in return in some ways also is, you know, Japan being Japan, since I know a lot of Japanese devs hate being like other games. I'm looking at you, Nintendo. But yeah, I'm with Keroppi on some of the stuff he said. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to have some stuff, but I still feel like the closest we're gonna get is like maybe a Zig thing. Maybe there's a joke. Well, my standards is at that point is like, if you just give me a Zig up, like good enough. Cause let's be honest, the game I feel like way too far in development and way too like fractal in its design to be able to do half the stuff that we want, like me, you, Keroppi, whoever. Cause you know, putting in whole like job system, putting in like custom weapon stuff, putting in like reputation systems, like I feel like at that point in the game it's just like a spaghetti-ness of code, and if you try to do any of that stuff, it's just gonna all crash and burn and fall apart. Which is probably another reason why, you know, the development seemed very like linear in its design choices from, you know, literally getting the same content, but now at daytime or nighttime, or maybe we got a blue pill instead of a red one. But it's still good to have these like discussions, if anything, as like an ideal will for anybody out there that might actually want to create an MMO. And once again, like I always said, keeping up with the Joneses when it comes to game design, especially in genres that you're gonna make your game in, it's very important to pay attention to not only the player base, but also just like the design around it as a whole. And I think this is like another reason why we don't really see games like PSO. But the thing is that, you know, after so much amount of time, you know, you start seeing why there was nothing else like PSO. Outside of course, you know, Wave Final. But, you know, I know how you guys feel about Wave Final. But nonetheless, chat, there you go. Give Keroppi some love, chat. Go, give Keroppi all the love, chat. Do it. And yeah.